I want to start by telling you today, you are not here by accident. You didn't just stumble into this moment. No, this is a divine appointment. You could have been anywhere, but God brought you here. And I believe it's because He wants to remind you of something powerful. You're living under the smile of God. Maybe you've been through some hard seasons. Maybe you faced rejection, disappointment, even betrayal. But I came to tell you none of that has canceled the favor on your life. God is still smiling over you. See, when God smiles on you, it's not just a feeling. It's His favor, His blessing, His approval. And that smile, it opens doors no man can shut. It causes people to go out of their way to help you. It brings opportunities, healing, restoration, not because you earned it, but because He loves you. You may feel like you've made too many mistakes, like you've fallen too far. But the smile of God isn't based on your perfection. It's based on your position. You're His child. He's not shaking His head at you in disappointment. No, He's smiling over you in mercy. He's saying, I still have plans for you. I still have favor in your future. I still call you mine. Friend, you may not see it right now, but God's smile is already working. It's pushing back darkness. It's breaking generational chains. It's setting you up for something you didn't even pray for. Don't focus on who walked away, what didn't work out, or how impossible it looks. Focus on this truth. God is smiling on you. That's why you're still standing. That's why you're still blessed. That's why the enemy couldn't take you out. Not because you were the strongest, the smartest, or had it all together, but because God smiled on you. His favor is surrounding you like a shield. So walk like you're favored. Think like you're approved. Live like God is proud of you, because He is. One smile from God can do more than a lifetime of striving. Stay in peace. Keep showing up. Keep being faithful. The smile of God is on your life, and that's all you need. When God's face shines upon your life, things begin to happen that you could never make happen on your own. You may be talented, you may be diligent, you may be well connected, but there are some doors that don't open because of effort. They open because of grace. That grace, that favor, is God showing you His approval, His kindness, His smile. It's not about striving. It's not about chasing people down. It's about understanding that when the Creator of the universe breathes in your direction, when He lifts His face toward you, what once was blocked is suddenly released. What was once delayed comes quickly. What should have taken 10 years happens in 2. That's the power of divine favor. That's what happens when you're not just moving forward on your own strength, but when heaven's help gets involved. Sometimes we think the breakthroughs we're hoping for depend on how much we do. If we pray more, fast longer, push harder. And yes, those things have their place. But there's a greater truth. When your life aligns with God's heart, when your spirit is humble and your trust is in Him, He begins to cause all things to work in your favor. That's when people start saying things like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to make an exception for you. Or, we normally don't hire without experience, but something tells me you're the right one. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's divine kindness in action. That's God showing you that His hand is on your life and His pleasure is resting on you. Many people go through life thinking they have to earn every inch of progress. They grind and they carry the weight of trying to prove themselves. But here's the truth. God never intended you to carry that pressure. He designed you to walk in peace, knowing that He is for you. Knowing that when He delights in you, He goes before you to make the crooked places straight. He goes behind you to protect you from what you didn't see coming. He opens doors no one can shut, and He shuts doors that would have caused harm. This doesn't mean life is always easy or trouble-free. but it does mean you never walk alone. And you never walk without the backing of heaven. There are people who have been watching you struggle, waiting to see you fall, expecting you to give up. But what they didn't count on is that you're not walking through life alone. You've got the hand of God lifting you up. You've got the smile of the Most High lighting your path. That's why you survived what others didn't. That's why, despite the odds, you're still here. Not because of how great you are, but because of how great your God is. His favor has preserved you. His goodness has carried you. His joy has strengthened you when you felt like giving up. Sometimes the favor of God will cause people to misunderstand you. They'll wonder why you're the one who got promoted, why the opportunities found you, why your business is succeeding while others are struggling. What they don't realize is that God sees the heart. He knows what you've been through behind closed doors. He's watched you stay faithful when it was hard. Keep a good attitude when it would have been easy to become bitter. That's why the blessing is coming. That's why things are shifting. Not because of what people see, but because of what God saw in the secret place. He rewards faithfulness. He honors humility. And when He chooses to smile on you, no voice can cancel it. No mistake can disqualify you from it. This kind of favor doesn't mean you'll never face trials, but it does mean those trials won't have the final word. It means that in the midst of the fire, you'll find unexpected protection. In the middle of the storm, you'll have peace that doesn't make sense. And when it looks like you've reached a dead end, suddenly a new path opens. That's what happens when you're walking under divine pleasure. You're not striving anymore. You're resting in His promises. You're not trying to force things to happen. You're trusting that the one who controls the winds and the waves is also ordering your steps. The real beauty of living under that divine approval is that you don't have to impress anyone. You don't have to chase validation. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone who questions you. When God's hand is on you, it speaks for itself. People may not like it, they may criticize you, they may doubt you, but they can't stop what God has started. His favor is not voted on. It's not decided by opinions. It's given by His grace, and once it's on your life, it will make a way where there was no way. So the next time you find yourself wondering how it's all going to work out, take a deep breath. Remind yourself, it's not all up to you. You're not walking alone. You're not depending on the strength of your own hands. You are under the goodness of God. You are walking in His smile. And when He smiles on you, things shift. Things accelerate. Things align. You don't have to chase opportunity. Opportunity will chase you. Because when heaven smiles, earth responds. One of the greatest truths you can ever realize is this: God's love and approval are not something you have to work for. You don't have to perform perfectly. You don't have to jump through religious hoops or meet some impossible standard to be accepted. You are not loved because you always get it right. You are loved because you belong to Him. Too often, people live their lives trying to earn what has already been freely given. They wear themselves out trying to be enough, prove they're worthy. But truth is, before you ever did one thing right or wrong, God had already chosen you. He had already set His affection on you. He had already decided to call you His own. It's easy to think, if I can just be better, maybe then God will be proud of me. If I can clean up my life, maybe then He'll smile on me. If I pray more, if I give more, if I never mess up, maybe then I'll be worthy. But here's the good news. You don't start from a place of earning. You start from a place of being loved. God doesn't wait until you're perfect to approve you. He sees you in your weakness, in your struggle, in your humanity, and still says, that's my child. I love them. I'm for them. I'm with them. That's what separates divine love from the love of this world. Human love is often conditional. It says, as long as you perform, I'll accept you. But God's love is not based on your performance. It's based on your position, and your position is secure. This understanding changes everything. It removes the pressure. It breaks the cycle of striving. It silences the inner voice that says you're not good enough. Because when you know that you're already accepted by God, you stop living to gain approval and start living from a place of approval. You stop chasing validation and start walking in confidence. You stop trying to earn the smile of God and start resting in the reality that He's already smiling. You might think, but I've made mistakes, failed. I haven't been everything I should be. That's true for all of us. Yet God isn't surprised by your shortcomings. He knows every weakness, every flaw, every hidden struggle, and still chooses to love you. In fact, it's in those very places of brokenness that His grace shines the brightest. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real, being willing to say, God, I don't have it all together, but I know you do. I trust your love more than I trust my ability to get everything right. You see, if you think you have to earn God's approval, then every failure becomes a weight. Every bad decision becomes a setback. You'll start believing lies like, God is disappointed in me. He's turned His face from me. I've lost His favor. But that's not who God is. He's not waiting for you to measure up. He's reaching out in mercy to lift you up. His smile doesn't disappear when you fall. It doesn't vanish when you have doubts. His goodness isn't fragile. His love isn't fickle. He's steady. And even when you can't feel Him, He's still there, still watching over you with kindness. When a parent looks at their child, especially when that child is learning, stumbling, growing, they don't stop loving that child every time they fall. If anything, their heart leans in closer. They're proud of the effort. They see the potential. They understand the process. That's how God sees you. You're not a burden to Him. You're not a disappointment. You're His creation, His joy, His beloved. His eyes are filled with compassion. His heart is moved with grace. His hands are always ready to help, not to punish. Religion may try to teach you that God is cold, distant, waiting to catch you in failure. But the truth of the gospel says God came near. He stepped into your story. He bore your shame. He took your place so that you could live freely, confidently under the warmth of His affection. The cross was not a statement of how bad you are. It was a declaration of how valuable you are. He paid the highest price, not because you were perfect, but because you were worth it to Him. Because you were worth it to Him. So instead of trying harder to be loved, receive the love that's already yours. Instead of hiding your flaws, bring them into the light of grace. Instead of fearing God's disapproval, rest in His embrace. You don't have to strive for what has already been given. You don't have to earn what can never be earned. You just receive it by faith. That's where true transformation begins. Not by trying harder, but by believing deeper. Believing that you are already enough, already accepted, already loved, because of who your Father is, not because of what you've done. When you live from that truth, it changes how you see everything. You stop walking around with shame. You stop trying to impress people. You stop disqualifying yourself. And you start walking boldly, knowing that the smile of heaven is already over your life. You walk into rooms with peace. You face challenges with hope. You rise from failure with courage. Not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart. When the doors stay closed. When the people you trusted turn away. When your strength feels like it's run out. It's in those moments, the darkest, most difficult places, that you may begin to wonder if God has forgotten about you. If He's still with you. If He's still smiling on your life. The silence can feel deafening, the pain overwhelming. You look around and nothing makes sense. Your faith is stretched. Your hope seems to be fading. And you're not even sure what to pray anymore. But here's the truth. The presence of pain is not the absence of God. Just because you're in a valley doesn't mean His face is turned from you. In fact, it's often in the lowest moments that God is closest. You may not feel Him. You may not see the evidence of His hand watching over you, strengthening you, carrying you in ways you can't yet understand. His love doesn't vanish when life gets ugly. His smile doesn't disappear when the night grows long. He is the God who stays, who comforts, who never turns His back on His children. There are times when life will deal you situations that seem completely unfair. You did everything right, kept your integrity, loved people, stayed faithful. And yet the outcome wasn't what you expected. The promotion went to someone else. The relationship ended. The sickness came anyway. It's easy to look up at God and wonder, where are you in this? But what if the very moment you thought He was furthest from you? You see, the presence of hardship doesn't mean the absence of favor. Sometimes the favor of God shows up not in what He prevents, but in what He strengthens you to endure. You may be walking through fire, but you're not being consumed. You may be in the storm, but you're still standing. That's not because you're so strong. It's because He's been sustaining you. He's been holding you up when you didn't even know it. You've cried in secret. You've questioned your worth. You've wondered if you're even seen. But heaven has never taken its eyes off you. God is still smiling, even in the middle of the pain. Not because He's ignoring your struggle, but because He sees the outcome you can't see. He knows this isn't the end of your story. There's something powerful about a God who doesn't just meet you on the mountaintop, but walks with you through the valley. A God who doesn't just celebrate your victories, but stays near in your losses. That kind of love can't be shaken. And that kind of love doesn't pull away when things get messy. It leans in. It draws near. It lifts you up. Maybe you've been telling yourself, if I just get through this, I'll be okay. Right now. Not because everything is right, but because God is right there with you. He's the kind of father who whispers in the darkness, you're not. He's the kind of shepherd who walks into the wilderness to find you when you feel lost. And even when the tears are falling, when your heart feels heavy, when your strength is gone, His love doesn't waver. He still calls you chosen. He still calls you His. He still smiles on you. Not because you're at your best, but because you're His child. Don't confuse silence with rejection. Don't assume your suffering is a sign that He's displeased. Sometimes it's in the fire that your faith is refined. Sometimes it's in the crushing that new wine flows. The process may be painful, but the purpose is still alive. God doesn't waste seasons of sorrow. He uses them to prepare you, to shape you, to develop strength in you that success never could. You may feel like everything is falling apart, but something greater is falling into place. His smile is still shining. It just may not look like what you expected. Some of the most powerful moments of your life will be the ones where you experience the smile of God, not through blessings, but through survival. Through the peace that didn't make sense. Through the comfort that showed up in a hospital room. Through the strength that helped you take one more step when everything in you wanted to give up. That's favor. That's what it means to live under His care, even in the chaos. So don't let the darkness convince you that you're forgotten. Don't let the pain convince you that you're forsaken. And don't the season convince you that your story is over. His smile is not just for the good times. It's what's carrying you through the hard times. When people walk away, when the job falls through, when the storm rages, still there. And one day, you'll look back on this season not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Because you'll realize that in the moment you thought he was furthest away, he was actually carrying you the whole time. And maybe, just maybe, the reason you're still standing is because heaven never stopped smiling. There are things that have been spoken over your life that were never meant to stay. Labels that others attached to you. Opinions that tried to define you. Experiences that tried to mark you. Maybe someone told you that you would never be good enough, that you come from the wrong background, that you'll always struggle, that you're just like your father, or your mother, or your past. Maybe you've been living under the weight of those words for years, believing them deep in your heart, allowing them to shape your choices, limit your dreams, and suppress your identity. But just because something was said about you doesn't mean it came from God. And if it didn't come from him, it has no authority to stay on you. When God chooses to smile on a person's life, it breaks the grip of everything that was meant to hold them back. It dismantles generational patterns. It overrides curses spoken in anger, jealousy, or ignorance. It silences every lie that was planted to make you feel less than. That divine approval doesn't just bless you, it redefines you. It sets the record straight. It announces to everything and everyone that tried to break you, this one belongs to me. I have plans for their life. My hand is on them, and nothing you try can stop it. You may have grown up in dysfunction. You may come from a bloodline where addiction, brokenness, or lack was all you saw. But that is not where your identity is rooted. God doesn't consult your past to determine your future. He doesn't need permission from your family tree to bless you. The moment he smiles on your life, things start to shift. The labels of shame, failure, not enough, too late, fall off. And in their place, God starts to speak new names over you. Chosen, free, redeemed, restored, loved, empowered. Sometimes we're not just fighting people, we're fighting what people said. We're fighting memories, insults, moments that got buried but never healed. And without realizing it, we let those things control how we walk. We shrink back when we should step forward. We stay quiet when we were meant to speak up. We settle when we were born to soar. But God doesn't just want to bless what's around you. He wants to heal what's within you. His kindness goes deeper than performance. His favor addresses identity. And when he breathes on your life, when he marks you with his approval, it breaks every other mark the enemy tried to leave. There is something unstoppable about a person who knows they are favored by God. Not in arrogance, not in self-righteousness, but in quiet confidence. Confidence that says, I may not be who others wanted, but I am who God called. I may not come from the best background. I carry the best future. Confidence that says, what others used to laugh at, God is about. What was once overlooked is now about to be promoted. Not because of who I am, but because of who he is. That confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from knowing heaven is smiling over your life. Every time God chooses someone to do something great, he does it in spite of what people say. Moses had a stutter. David was the overlooked. Rahab had a past. Peter had a temper. Paul had a reputation. But none of that disqualified them. If anything, it became the backdrop that made God's power even more undeniable. Because when God elevates someone nobody expected, he reminds the world that his smile breaks every human rule. His blessing is not limited by your past. His hand is not held back by your weakness. When he decides to favor you, no label can stick, no curse can stand, and no voice can stop what he's about to do. You may feel like you've been under something heavy for a long time, like you've carried the residue of rejection, disappointment, maybe even spiritual warfare. You've tried to shake it off, but it keeps showing up. But let this be the moment you believe again that one touch from God is enough to end the cycle. One move of His Spirit can break years of bondage. One word from His mouth can replace decades of lies. You don't have to live carrying what He already came to remove. This is your time to rise up and walk in the truth of who you really are. Not who they said you are. Not who your mistakes say you are. But who your Maker says you are. You were formed with purpose. You were made with intention. You are not an accident. And the blessing on your life isn't fragile. It's fierce. It's not just for comfort. It's not just to get by. It's to break through. You were never meant to live under a ceiling someone else put over you. You are meant to walk under the open heaven God declared over you. There's a boldness that returns when you realize you've been chosen. Freedom that floods your soul when you understand you're not who you used to be. And there's a courage that comes alive when you finally believe the labels are gone and the smile of God is all that matters. You are not bound to your history. You are not limited by your bloodline. The smile of heaven has broken the curse, and you are free to become everything you were born to be. When you know that you carry something greater within you, you begin to walk different. There's a quiet strength that comes from knowing heaven is not only watching, but smiling. You don't need the approval of the crowd when you already have the affirmation of your Creator. You stop living for applause, for validation, for recognition, because deep down, you know you're already approved. And that approval gives you something that money can't buy, something circumstances can't shake. Confidence, not arrogance, not pride, but a deep-rooted sense of identity that says, I don't need to compete, I don't need to compare, and I don't need to prove myself. I'm already seen. You may walk into rooms where nobody knows your name, or you feel out of place or unqualified, but when you carry divine affirmation, you know you're never walking in alone. The one who called you walks in with you. That's why people sense something different. That's why things shift in your favor without you trying to force it. It's not about charisma or charm. It's about what's resting on your life. When God marks you with His approval, you become a carrier of peace, of light, of boldness. And people may not know what it is, but they'll feel it. This kind of confidence doesn't shout. It doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. It stands firm, even in silence. It keeps showing up when others walk away. It keeps believing when the results say otherwise. It keeps smiling even when there's nothing external to celebrate, because it knows, what the world didn't give. It's not rooted in my bank account, my appearance, my reputation, or my success. It's rooted in the unshakable truth that I am carrying the favor of God. And that's more than enough. You see, when you walk with that kind of assurance, you stop allowing temporary opinions to define your permanent value. You stop giving access to voices that only speak fear and doubt. You stop reacting to every rumor, every rejection, because you know who you are. And more importantly, you know whose you are. And when the God of heaven has chosen to put His hand on your life, no human opinion gets the final say. People may misunderstand you. They may question your journey. They may even try to discredit what God is doing in your life. But don't waste time trying to explain what God is revealing. Don't try to defend yourself to people who never saw your prayer, your tears, your private faithfulness. You weren't anointed in front of the crowd. You were anointed in secret. And the same God who chose you in private will elevate you in public when the time is right. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You don't need a majority vote for your destiny to unfold. If God smiled on you, that's enough. If He opened the door, no man can shut it. He called you, no system can cancel you. If he whispered to go, then you don't need a round of applause to take the first step. That internal knowing is your green light. You carry something more powerful than approval. You carry calling. This is why you don't have to manipulate outcomes. You don't have to chase people or beg for opportunities. What's yours can't be stolen. What's assigned to you won't miss you. What God has placed inside of you doesn't need to be validated to be valuable. Even when it's hidden, it's still holy. Even when it's overlooked, it's still ordained. And when the time comes, God will shine a light on what He's been developing in the dark. So don't let fear hold you back from stepping out. Don't let the opinions of others keep you in a box God never built for you. Don't let insecurity silence the voice God. You were meant to carry light into dark places. You were meant to be bold in rooms filled with uncertainty. You were meant to speak truth when lies are loud. You were meant to lead, to serve, to lift, to build. Not because you're perfect, but because you're chosen. And yes, there will be days when doubt tries to creep in. There will be moments when you wonder, can I really do this? Am I really enough? But in those moments, you don't have to have it all together. You just have to remember who's walking with you. You just have to lean into the approval that never changes. People's opinions may shift. Their support may fade. But God's smile stays constant. Let that be your foundation. Let that be the reason you keep showing up, keep believing, keep loving, keep leading. Even when no one claps, even when the recognition is small. You're not doing it for applause. You're doing it because something inside of you knows this is bigger than you. This is purpose. This is destiny. This is kingdom. And when God is smiling on your life, you don't have to chase significance. It follows you. So stand tall, speak truth, prove forward. You've been marked by something greater than popularity, success, or applause. You carry the smile of God, and that's more than enough. It only takes one moment for everything to change. One word, one opportunity, one connection, one shift. And sometimes all it takes is one divine nod, one unseen smile from above. To break barriers that have stood for years. You don't need everyone to understand what's on your life. You don't need the perfect circumstances. You don't even need a long list of qualifications. You just need God's yes. When that yes is marked by His delight, no one can stand in the way. You may have been overlooked, underestimated, counted out by people who thought they had the authority to define your potential. But they weren't looking at the whole picture. They didn't see the favor that's been resting on you since before you were born. They didn't see the seeds of greatness planted in your spirit, the silent prayers whispered in faith, the quiet perseverance when no one was watching. But God saw it all. And His smile has the power to launch you farther in one season than years of your effort ever could. Sometimes we look at our progress and feel frustrated. We think we're too far behind, too late. We measure ourselves by timelines and expectations. But the truth is, when God decides to accelerate something, there are no limits. What should have taken 10 years can happen in one. What everyone said was impossible suddenly becomes undeniable. Not because you worked harder, not because you finally figured it all out, but because God chose to breathe on it. Because He looked at your life and said, and now, there is no force on earth that can delay a destiny that heaven has approved. People may try to block you, but they don't control the gate. Systems may resist you, but they don't hold the keys. Circumstances may rise against you, but they're no match for divine timing. When God releases His favor, it overrides natural laws. It rearranges the sequence. It accelerates progress. It places you in rooms you didn't expect to be in, gives you victories you didn't even ask for, and positions you for influence you couldn't have strategized on your own. This is why you don't have to panic. when things take time. You don't have to fall apart when doors close. Because those delays aren't denials, they're divine setups. They're preparation stages. They're moments when God is aligning the right people, the right resources, the right conditions. And then, at the appointed time, he smiles. And what felt like a long wait suddenly turns into a rapid unfolding. Because when heaven moves, things shift quickly. You might feel like you've been grinding for years with little to show for it. Like you've been praying, trusting, and giving your best, but the breakthrough hasn't come yet. But don't be discouraged. You're not behind. You're being positioned. You're not forgotten. You're being refined. Every day you kept going, every step you took in faith, every decision to stay faithful, it was building momentum. You were stacking trust in places you couldn't see. And when God smiles in your direction, all that quiet obedience begins to echo in powerful ways. Harvest comes, the reward is released, the shift happens. And here's what's so beautiful. When that moment comes, it won't make sense to the world. People will try to figure out how it all happened so fast. They'll wonder why it worked for you and not for others. They'll question what you did differently. But the truth is, it wasn't about doing everything perfectly. It wasn't about knowing all the right people. It was about the unseen hand of God moving behind the scenes. It was about the divine favor that can't be explained, but can't be denied. You don't have to chase that kind of blessing. You align your heart, stay obedient, walk in humility, and trust the timing. Because when it's time, you won't have to force it. The doors will open without you knocking. The answers will come without you begging. The path will unfold without you pushing. That's what happens when heaven approves. That's what happens when the smile of God lights up your steps. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs happen in the most unexpected ways. You'll be doing what seems ordinary, just showing up, just being consistent, and suddenly a divine connection is made. A phone call changes everything. A conversation shifts the direction. A yes from someone you didn't even know was watching becomes the catalyst for something far greater. That's not random. That's orchestrated. That's favor moving with precision. And when it happens, don't be surprised. Don't downplay it. Don't say it was just coincidence. Give God the credit. Let your life be the testimony that others look at and say, if he did it for them, maybe he can do it for me too. Let the acceleration in your life become a sign of his faithfulness, not your performance. Let the blessing speak of his goodness, not your resume. You don't need to exhaust yourself trying to make things happen. Just stay in position, stay ready. Keep your spirit aligned, keep your heart clean. Because when that smile comes, and it will, you won't have to chase anything. What is yours will find you, and it won't come slow. It'll come suddenly. It'll come in abundance. It'll come wrapped in purpose, backed by peace, and filled with the unmistakable evidence that God has been with you all along. Friend, I don't know what season you're in right now. Maybe things are going well. Maybe you're walking through a storm. Maybe you feel unseen, unqualified, unsure. But I came to remind you today, God's smile is still over your life. You don't have to perform for it. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to beg for it. It's already yours. His love isn't based on what you've done. It's based on who you are, his child. And when God smiles on you, it changes everything. Doors open. Chains break. Confidence rises. The labels fall off. Generational curses are shattered. Delay turns into acceleration. That one touch of divine approval can do what a lifetime of effort never could. You may have walked through rejection, but that didn't cancel his smile. You may have made mistakes, but grace still has the final word. You may be in the middle of your darkest valley, but he's right there with you. watching over you with a heart full of compassion and eyes full of purpose. So walk with your head high, not in arrogance, but in assurance. Live like someone who knows heaven is cheering you on. Step into every room, every opportunity, every challenge, carrying the confidence that comes from being chosen, favored, and covered. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are walking in divine timing, under divine blessing, with divine backing. And the best part, the smile of God is not just a moment, it's a message. A message that says, I'm with you, I'm for you. Because when God smiles on your life, no force in hell, no voice from the past, and no opinion in the present can stop what He's about to do. You're not walking into your future alone, you're walking in with the smile of God. And that smile is more than enough.